There are some people cricket fans usually don't get to see: ground staff, caterers, luggage attendants and team managers. But one of the most recognizable faces in world cricket for the past 2 decades falls into the last of those categories. Goolam Rajah has been part of South Africa's touring party since readmission in 1991. On November 21, 2011, he was in charge of the dressing room for the final time. In those 20 years, Rajah has presided over 179 tests, 444 ODIs and 40 T20s. When Cricket South Africa presented him with a framed list of all the players he had taken under his wing, it totaled 107. That does not include franchise teams he has managed or his World's Eye days. ESPNcricinfo spoke to him about negotiating the early years, dealing with difficult players, and the lighter side of life on tour. I was on the executive of the non-white South African Cricket Board before Unity. When it became one board after Unity, they needed administrators. Some of the officials decided I would manage the then Transvaal team on the tour of the UK in 1992. At first it didn't appeal to me, but I had a great love of cricket and saw it as an opportunity, so I did it. 2 weeks after I came back, India came on their first tour to South Africa, and a President's Eye captained by Hansie Cronje played against them. I managed the invitation team, and a month later Ali Bacher said he'd like me to manage the one-day squad against New Zealand. I said, "Doc, I didn't intend making this a profession. I am already a pharmacist, I've got a reasonable practice and enjoy what I do." He said, "Fine, I will give you a week to think about it." And that week turned out to be 20 years. What was most difficult was to get people of different attitudes, different backgrounds and different cultures to come together. There was a tour once. It was Mackay and Tiny's first tour and Auntie Hayward's as well. We used to pair people for a week at a time. Mackay and Hayward were both characters in their own right. Mackay could not speak a word of Afrikaans, and Hayward, at that time, could not speak a word of English, but I put them together. When the week was up, I went to Mackay first and asked him if he was happy, and he was. Then I asked Nanti, and he also said he was happy. They stayed together the whole tour, and somehow they started speaking a little bit. That was a big challenge for me, but I saw it as an opportunity to get the message through to the rest of the team that we are now in the new South Africa. It doesn't matter what background, what culture, what color, we have to move forward. For me, that was a very important step in the life of South African cricket. When we came back, we had won most of our games, but that was incidental. All the talk at the time was, did you guys get together in my 20 years? I cannot report one racial incident, and that made me feel that we had arrived as one country. The Dave Richardsons, the Brian McMillans, the Andrew Hudsons were different to the players of today, like Mark Boucher, Jacques Kallis, David Miller and Colin Ingram. Maybe it was easier to get a message over to the older folks. In the old days, I used to set wake-up calls for everybody. With cell phones, they started doing it themselves. On the first tour of England, 1994, Dave Richardson ran out of toothpaste. I asked somebody for the nearest Tesco so I could go and get some. In those days, as manager, you wore your blazer and tie wherever you went. The guy at the shop said to me, "Do you always go to buy toothpaste dressed like this?" Maybe I am wrong, and I like to think I am wrong, but the money aspect sometimes supersedes the enjoyment of the game. When Unity took place, you played for nothing but your pride and the thought that you had won a match. Now we see cricketers who have given up Test cricket, and when you ask why, it's only because of the financial gains. I can see more cricketers, especially quick bowlers, giving up Test cricket. We have to accept that the IPL has brought it to the notice of players that they are worth more than what they sometimes get. I am a bit worried that out of the 3 formats of the game, we will lose one of them. I think it will be the one-day game after South Africa win a World Cup. You've seen all of South Africa's World Cup exits. Which one was the most difficult to swallow? 99. I saw some big men cry in the dressing room. It was very sad. If ever we came close to winning a World Cup, that was it. That was the best overall team. Coming to the semi-final, tying the match and still being knocked out was terrible. And the team that won the World Cup, without being disrespectful, could have been knocked out 3 times before that.